seizing an oil tanker.
Yeah.
That's a much bigger deal and a much bigger than these narco-terrorist boats, as the president calls them, people shooting them. Seizing a tanker, how could this escalate the conflict with Venezuela?
Well, we've had sanctions on Venezuelan oil since the first Trump administration. And
Biden kept them.
Kept them.
Yeah.
So to me, this is absolutely normal. I mean,
seizing an oil tanker?
Yeah, we've been seizing Iranian oil tankers in the past. We also, according to the law that I've read, that oil is up for forfeiture. So we could keep that. We've kept Iranian oil in the past. So I actually think that this is less controversial in terms of law and sanctions and what has been, disputed or not disputed. Like, I think this is actually a pretty, check the box case. Mm-hmm. Now, what will this mean in terms of escalation? What is he going to do? What is Maduro going to do? Is he going to step aside because we're sanctioning this oil? I mean, we pick up this oil tanker. It's one oil tanker. Probably not.
And it's unlikely that he would then take an escalatory measure when it comes to the Venezuelan military against the U.S. military.
Exactly. So, I mean, but I think it's a big deal, and I think it's a good thing, actually, because I think squeezing Maduro, most people don't have any problem with that. Maduro is a bad leader, a horrible leader who tortures people, puts them in prison. An opposition leader just died in jail last week. Bad person.
Yeah, and an illegitimate.
Wow. So this is funny. I'm trying to wrap my head around this being said on CNN. Now, many people will be like, well, it's a bad thing because this could trigger a war. But we've just been given some background by Beth Sanner saying that this is par for the course. The United States has seized oil in the past from Iran and from Venezuela because there's sanctions on Venezuela's oil. So based on what she said, okay, I think this is something that is considered normal, I guess. Okay, now, this announcement came yesterday, and when I saw this announcement, I was like, what is Trump doing? Seizing oil. He's been blowing up narco boats for weeks, and then suddenly he's seizing oil. Like, what's the connection? Okay, but I think from her explanation, it has been something that has been going on for a long time. Venezuela isn't supposed to be shipping out oil, I guess, and they happen to have a tanker full of Venezuelan oil going somewhere, and the U.S. said, well, there are sanctions on your oil. You're not supposed to be doing that, so we're grabbing your oil. All right. Now, guys, let's say hi to each other. This afternoon, we live streamed for almost 2 hours, and we had quite the conversation. So let's have a laid back live stream this evening, okay? So I'm just going to ask you guys, just say hi. Let's know where you're streaming from. Let's know who you are. And let's know your thoughts on this first story that we just played. We're going to be moving on, still on the Venezuela peninsula and everything going on there. But let's just hang out for a bit and just say hi. Patricia says, hi, y'all. Okay. Hello, everyone. Canary King is in. All right. Who else is in the chat? Canary King and Patricia are essentially saying hi. Look, guys, let's be civil. Let's say hi to each other, okay? Let's just hang out for a bit. Okay. Patricia is streaming from Kentucky. Awesome. She's streaming from Kentucky. So, guys, just introduce yourselves, okay? We're looking at the news tonight together, and let's just do this. Let's just hang out together and talk about the news, okay? Let's not behave like I'm the expert, okay? I'm just the guy who pushes the buttons and has conversations and tells you what I think. And you guys let me know what you think as well after I play the stories. Okay, so Patricia is from Kentucky, and she says, Maduro may send one of his 5 operating planes out there. Well, who knows? Who knows? you know, they make all the noise and beat their chests to say we're going to do something horrible, rah, and then nothing happens. Okay, so and then again, the poll is up. All right, there's a poll up, and the poll again is on the call-in feature. Okay, the poll is on the call-in feature. So there's a question on the poll: should we open the phone lines? And we have a 50% yes and no on the main channel. We have no votes yet on the backup channel. So the channel that says yes by the end of in the next 15 minutes, okay, we're giving you 15 minutes to decide. Look at the poll, see who's winning, decide who you want to vote for or what you want to vote for, and then we dive into making the phone lines open. Okay. Canary King is watching from New York. All right. Great. So essentially, this is a nothing burger. Anyone that's trying to make this all about President Trump is about to start a new war. He's making trouble with Venezuela. We just heard on CNN that this is something that even Biden did. Biden seized oil. I think he seized oil from Venezuela as well. So CNN running with their hair on fire like, oh, Trump is doing something wrong. I think that's hypocritical since Biden did it as well. Now, Maxine Waters, now keep leaving your comments in the chat, okay? We're going to be talking, but vote to let us know if you want the call-in feature tonight or you just want to hang out and make all of the feedback in the chat. The call-in feature lets you hit a button, join this live stream as someone who's you literally talk with me on the live stream. You can either give your reaction to the news that we've covered, or you mention something that we may not have covered that you think is interesting for us to cover. And I have a special announcement to make. Okay, so if you wait until the half hour of this live stream, there's a special announcement to make for something that is coming up. We've been talking about it for a while, and I'm sure that some of you will find it very exciting. I know I do. I am both excited and I am excited in a good way, and I'm also excited in a bad way because this is something that is new. Some of the stuff we're going to be exploring will be exciting and very, very controversial for a lot of people. So it is something that I'm looking forward to announcing. So please stay until the half-hour mark. We will be announcing something amazing. We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm looking forward to opening up to it. So Maxine Waters is trying to let us know something about Trump protecting Americans from fentanyl. Okay, and she's essentially telling us how upset she is. Okay, you can see how upset she is in this shot. She's upset that President Trump is protecting American citizens from fentanyl-laced cocaine. 200,000 died last year. 200,000, and she's upset. Let's hear what's really making her upset. Let's see if she's upset that Americans are dying. Okay, so let's see.
He is basically killing and bombing boats, claiming that these people are involved with drug trafficking without evidence, without proof, without coming to the Congress of the United States to talk about what he knows and what should be done and how it should be handled. He's just killing people, and he doesn't care that he's being.
So Maxine Waters is essentially saying that President Trump has to come to Congress to take permission to blow up every single boat that leaves Venezuela heading to the United States. Every single boat that has been investigated and clearly contains these fentanyl-laced cocaine. So for every boat, U.S. Congress, can you assemble so that we can, destroy these boats? So if there was a war, she would expect the president to come to Congress to take permission for every single military action that is needed to protect the American people. These people are just, Do not ascribe to stupidity what can easily be ascribed to malice. So I would just stick with being evil, okay? Because she knows it, all right? She's old enough to know that that's not how the presidency works. But she is malicious enough to want us to believe that that's how it works. So that all of these fentanyl-laced drugs get into the country, kill more Americans, and then they can say, well, Trump has failed in his attempt to protect Americans. Look, these guys are snakes. They create the problem, and then they blame President Trump for the problem, or they try to blame him or accuse him of being evil for trying to solve the problem that they created. Okay. Now, the poll is going to be expiring in 2 minutes. Look, I'm counting, okay, and so far, 67% on the main channel, and the backup channel is just like, nah, we're good. We don't want to be on the on the call-in. All right, so the channel that wins, okay, the channel that says yes or no is going to either get the link or not. All right, so I'm not going to just share it across the entire live stream. We're streaming on 5 platforms right now. The 2 YouTube channels, we're streaming on Rumble, on Kick, and on Twitch. So everyone has to let us know if they want the call-in activated. For those who are streaming on Rumble, Kick, and Twitch, simply say, yes, 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 we want the call-in link over here. And then we will make the call-in link available to you on your platform. When we share the call-in link on each platform, it is unique to that platform. Okay, everyone isn't going to get it. All right. So Patricia says, when Democrats discuss the drug boats being blown up, they never mention how fentanyl is affecting the American people who are clueless about the illegal drugs they are using and how they are super deadly. And that's the thing. They make it sound like these guys in these fishing boats or these speedboats are just carrying powdered milk, or they're just carrying innocuous drugs. Like, well, they're just trying to feed their families, granted, but at what cost? If them feeding their families means 100,000 Americans die potentially from fentanyl overdose, all right, is that a reason to run cover for them and try to protect them? I mean, just let me know in the chat. I know that, look, every kind of violent action, whether it's in war, self-defense, and so on, it's painful. It is sad to see people being eliminated for whatever reason. Even if you're defending yourself, even if it's in self-defense, you're defending yourself against someone who's trying to harm you. In the end, that person, even if they get the justice that they deserve, they are still a human being. So I get that sentiment. However, whenever you don't judge evil, you encourage evil to continue. So these Democrats simply want more drugs in the United States. They want more addicts. They want more people to be dependent or to be beholden to the United States government so that they can create these programs that can be used as channels for money laundering. Okay, that's why they lost their minds when USAID was essentially discovered, when they discovered all the stuff USAID was being used to do. And they were like, no, don't look over here. Don't look over here. USAID, it's USAID. It's USAID. No, it's not USAID. It's USAID. It was an arm to essentially launder tons of money for stupid programs. Okay. All right. 15 minutes are up. And I added 2 extra minutes. So we're opening up the phone lines. And look, guys, don't let me open up the phone lines and then it's like nobody joins. Okay, so I have 67% on the main channel. I'm going to open up the phone lines anyway. And then I'm going to close the polls. I'm opening up the phone lines. Okay, so what you do is you click on the link and then you join. You click on the link, and then you join the. Let me make sure I'm sending the link to the right place. If I send it to everyone, I will like, oh no. Okay, give me a second. Call in. Okay. All right. So it's only on the main channel. Good. So I'm going to pin this. So what you do when you see the link is click on it. It opens up your browser, and then you can simply join the live stream. I will bring you in, and then we can start our calling. I'm excited to have you guys in. Okay. Now, even if I've closed the poll on your side, and you're having regrets, okay, what we're going to do is tomorrow we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give everyone an opportunity again to say yes, we want the link activated. All right, so I've made the link available. Patricia says, I think this time the drug runners know they are not going to make it to America. So why are they still running their boats on the Gulf? Maybe they think the dams are going to save them. I don't know. It's hard to understand why they're doing this. Some people say that a lot of these people are like pressured into jumping into those boats and trying to run these drugs. Some people may be living in desperate circumstances, and they're like, if I run these boats, I might. Okay, Elite reacts. Do you want to join the call-in? Because I'm going to make an exception for you. If you want to join the call-in, look, it's my live stream. I can do what I want to do. Elite Reacts has been great, joining in when he can and being a part of it. So the link is up, guys. Why aren't you guys joining? Hey, the link is up. Okay, the link is up. So hit the link. Say you want to call in, and then I pull you in, then we can talk about this. Okay, so a lot of people think that people are pressured, but to be honest, it's just like the regular drug mules. People are living under difficult circumstances, and they need a break. So drug mules essentially do the same thing. They need a break. This is easy money, and then they do it. And sometimes drug mules they die in the process of trying to transport these drugs to the United States. These things happen. But are we saying, or are we going to say, that because these people live under desperate circumstances, we should turn a blind eye to the fact that the drugs they're bringing into the country are destructive to American citizens? Okay, I'm going to say it again, because sometimes whenever you hear the Democrats bleating and complaining, they never call the numbers of Americans who have been killed as a result of fentanyl poisoning. Over 200,000 Americans have died as a result of fentanyl poisoning. That's 200 9/11s. Okay, so while we're thinking about the circumstances that these people have to live under in order to want to attempt to cross the Gulf of America to deliver fentanyl to American citizens, we also have to keep in mind that the product that they're bringing in, the poison that they're bringing in, is killing American citizens. All right. So Chuck Schumer had a moment. Okay. He had his moments to shine. All right. And he was about to go in to have a meeting with the Secretary of War. Okay. I don't know why they keep calling him the Secretary of Defense or the Defense Secretary. He's no longer the Defense Secretary. He is the Secretary of War. And he's like, I'm going in there to demand answers. Look, he had his macho moment. Let's watch Chuck Schumer, okay, act out for us.
Now, finally, this afternoon, Secretaries Hegseth and Rubio and top officials will brief the Gang of Eight, and I'll be there. I plan to confront Secretary Hegseth on exactly what the hell is going on in the Caribbean, I
Rawr.
plan to demand Secretary Hegseth give the total, unedited videos of what happened in the September 2nd boat strikes. Trump originally agreed to do this, but now they're afraid. What's Hegseth hiding? And second, I will demand of Rubio and Hegseth what the hell is going on in the Caribbean and in Venezuela. What are their plans? How far do they plan to go? Trump has already talked about Venezuela waters and even going attacking Venezuela on land. How far do they intend to go? And when Trump says these crazy things, does he really mean them? And will he drag America into an endless war?
All right, so he's talking tough, and maybe you've seen what happened after his meeting, okay? But let me know in the chat what you think happened after the meeting.
It's about getting truth for the American people. The American people are entitled to see the unedited videos. Last week, Trump said he'd have no problem releasing the videos. Then yesterday, he walked back his statement, claiming he said it was fake news.
Okay. He's just talking and talking and talking. Like, so here's Chuck Schumer after he went in for this meeting and actually watched the video.
Okay, it was a very unsatisfying briefing. I asked Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, would he let every member of Congress see the unedited videos of the September 2nd strike? His answer, we have to study it. Well, in my view, they've studied it long enough, and Congress ought to be able to see it. I told him that every member of Congress, so many members of Congress, Democrat and Republican, had a right to see it, wanted to see it, and should see it. In terms of Venezuela, I asked them what their strategy is and what they were doing. Again, did not get satisfying answers.
All right, so essentially he went in, he got some answers he didn't like, and then he comes out to try to grandstand saying that he wasn't satisfied. Okay, so Patricia is on. Patricia, thanks for joining the call-in. Okay, so which one of the stories do you want to talk about or react to? Hello, Patricia. Is there a delay? Am I cut off? Hello?
Yes.
All right. So which of the stories do you want to cover or do you want to talk about?
I think the one about, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I don't know.
All right.
The drug runners.
Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, so let's go with the drug runners.
The drug runners, there is a delay.
Okay, there's a delay. Okay, so we'll just try and work with that. So just go ahead.
Yes, those drug runners are running out of Venezuela. Venezuela is a communist controlled country. They are working under fear.
Okay.
The fear. The communists controlled their people by threatening their family members. And I can understand that they're probably telling those drivers of those boats, if you don't do this, then we will put your family either in jail or kill you all. That's how they operate.
Mm.
That's how they control their people.
Okay. Okay. That sounds about right. Now, if that's what's going on, all right, is it okay for Democrats or leftists or even Republicans like Rand Paul to say, well, we need to protect these people at the expense of American citizens who get killed when they take this poison that these people are trying to transport into the United States? Like, is it proper to have that sentiment, even when we know that all of this they might be forced to do it? Okay, but is it okay to say, well, let's let them go ahead and bring in this poison because we're trying to be compassionate, of their circumstances?
Well, you have to ask the question, how closely are these politicians tied in to these drug cartels to be pitching a fit over them being taken out? They don't
That's
want
a
to
good
be
question.
listed as terrorists.
Yeah.
They want to portray them as pitiful people who are working under cruel circumstances.
Yeah. And all at the expense of the American people. All right. And for me, that's frustrating. Okay, because it's America first, or whatever country you're from first. It is your job to take care of your citizens first and to think about your citizens first. You're not everyone's president or everyone's senator. Your job is to protect the American people. So trying to make it seem like protecting the American people is bad simply because the American people happen to have a government that cares, I don't think it's responsible. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's responsible.
Maybe they're getting the kickbacks from the cartels.
Maybe.
I mean, under Biden, the cartels gained ground in America. They have set up shop all the way across this country. And I mean, they're operating their own operations here now. They've put the American drug dealers under their wing.
Okay.
And that's a known fact. I mean, they're running out of California. They're even in Kentucky. They busted a group here in Kentucky and got the awfulest amount of fentanyl and other illegal drugs, along with guns, military grade guns, not something
Really?
that the Dems just like to call an assault weapon that carries a 22 bullet that would just tick somebody off if they got shot with it.
Wow. All right. Now, Patricia, I have several stories. Now you can stay on the line. Anyone else who wants to hop on the line, the link is available on the main channel. Okay. If you're wondering on the backup channel, how can I call in and have my say on the stories that we're going through? All right. Now, there was a vote that happened. You came in late, but if you want to, all right, look at the number of people who are on your side of things. Okay. I'm looking at the backup channel. And simply put up your hand and say, yes, we want the call-in link available here too. I'm going to make this concession because a bunch of you came in late. Okay, so just say we want the call-in link and then I'll make it available. Now, Patricia and guys, I'm going to be going on to the next story. Now, we have a few things happening, all right? We have Jake Tapper of CNN, essentially he's claiming that his own judgment about President Trump's health matters. Like, this is hilarious, okay? Because we were all here watching Jake Tapper claim that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. Anyone who said otherwise was a conspiracy theorist, or you were simply insane and, you just wanted to tell lies and all that. So let's listen to Jake Tapper beat his chest and say he's the authority on telling whether a president is fit for duty.
Yeah, I'm not certain that message is going to help Republicans. Based on the content of his Pocono speech, Republicans are still worried. To say nothing of the Truth Social post the president posted after, in which he said, quote, "The New York Times and some others like to pretend that I am slowing up and maybe not as sharp as I once was or am in poor physical health. After all of the work I have done with medical exams, cognitive exams, and everything else, I actually believe it's seditious, perhaps even treasonous, for the New York Times and others to consistently do fake reports in order to libel and demean the President of the United States. They are true enemies of the people, and we should do something about it." I don't know exactly what he thinks should be done about it, and that's just part of the Truth Social post. We should note, reporting accurately on the president's quite obvious aging is neither seditious nor treasonous.
Well, Jake Tapper didn't report accurately on Biden's health. I think CNN should be self-conscious enough to not have Jake Tapper talk about a president's health. What do you think?
That's just crazy. That is even hysterical. Compared to Biden and what they covered up on that man, they want to talk about President Trump.
Like, it makes no sense. Okay, it makes no sense. Adam Carolla, let me play this because I like to hear what other media pundits have to say about this insanity. It is insane, okay, because they expect us to have amnesia. They think we don't remember. In fact, they expect us to not remember. And when we say, remember when, they attack you and say, how dare you remind me of that? Let's listen to Adam Carolla. Just a sec.
You lose credibility and you look foolish when you attempt to do things that are sort of transparent and seem like there's an agenda. And also, as I was yelling at Andrew yesterday, CNN, MSNBC, whoever, ladies of the View, who are talking about Trump's decline or cognitive abilities or whatever that is. You have lost all rights to comment on this subject, considering you just covered with a guy who was severely impaired. You covered for him for a number of years, and you said nothing. So what
they said the opposite.
Well, said the opposite. So what I would like to say to CNN is, in college, programs get into trouble. SMU got into recruiting trouble. USC got into trouble. They get into trouble, and then they have a 5-year moratorium on bowl games. No more bowl games. You guys are on probation for a decade or 5 years. I don't know how long SMU was.
While you shape up. While you change your ways.
Well, there can be no more violations along the way. Yes, that's baked in, but you shall not be able to participate in this thing for 5 years. CNN, you have lost your privilege on commenting on the president's decline mentally for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. You can't say a word about it because all you did was lie about the last guy who did have a problem. Like you should, and ladies of the View, you have lost you should be on probation just like USC and SMU and whatever major college program gets busted for some recruiting violation.
So what do you think of Adam Carolla's take? And guys, if you're watching, let's know your thoughts in the chat. Patricia and I will read your chats and we're going to respond. Like I said, you're welcome to join. Let's know that you're interested in being part of the call-in, and then we'll bring you up. All right. So, Patricia, what do you think of Adam's take on CNN, The View, MSNBC taking a break on talking about any president's health
Well, they could put a moratorium on them and tell them, just to shut up about it. But I find it very entertaining they're even talking about it, because Trump can run circles around them day in, day not out. He talks to the press just about every blooming day.
Yep.
He's always in front of a camera and answering questions and stuff. And I don't think anybody believes them that the man can't think for himself.
I agree. I would even like to go further to say that they should have a moratorium on even talking about the news, because they could step outside and say, oh, look, it's a sunny day, and I wouldn't believe them. They've lied so much. They've lost all credibility with me, even on regular news. I get shocked whenever they give anything that's remotely accurate. I'm shocked. Like I'm shocked when they tell the truth, actually.
Makes my eyebrows go up.
It's crazy. It's crazy to watch. All right, now I promised that at the 30-minute mark, at the half-hour mark, that we were going to make an announcement, and let's make that announcement now. Patricia, Canary King, and a few people have been hinting that they'll be interested in a unique show on one of our live streams that focuses on very non-news topics. Okay. During one of the live streams, we got into talking about things like Area 51, alien aircraft, and so on. And we said, well, if anyone is interested in us having those kinds of conversations, let's know in the chat. And we had some reaction in the chat. So I got together with Patricia and with Canary King, and we've been talking off and on about starting off not a segment, but picking a day to have a live stream that's dedicated to subjects like that. So we're going to be starting that on Friday. So on Friday, we're going to be kicking off our conversations around very interesting topics that are backed up by news reports, documentation, and actually bringing up stuff that people don't know about. So on Friday, we're going to be kicking off with one of those stories. It could be Area 51, the real location of Area 51. We could be talking about other things that you've not heard before. And I'm excited for it, but I'm a bit anxious because I'm like, how's it going to turn out? But we're starting that on Friday, this Friday. So Friday night, we're going to be having that show. And I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so that's the big announcement that we saved for the 30-minute mark of the show, even though it's for the first minute. So that's it. Patricia, what are your thoughts on us starting that off?
I think it'll be great. We need to do Area 51 in Roswell.
Okay. Roswell. I'm looking forward to it. I know a few things. I've watched a few documentaries, but I feel like there's so much we don't know yet. Okay, no. Let's save this for Friday. I was about to step into that water, but let's save it till Friday. Let's save it. I'm excited about it, and I hope the rest of you who are watching are excited for it as well. Now, if you're watching and catching us for the first time and you're wondering, okay, I think I like this channel and they seem like a lot of fun, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell icon, hit the thumbs up button if you think you like this and you want more people like you to find it. If you don't like what you're hearing, hit the thumbs down button so that YouTube doesn't show it to anyone who's like you and doesn't like this and who might not like the show. So help us out with doing those. And if you want to support the channel, okay, you can send in a donation by leaving a super chat. if you're on the backup channel, it doesn't have monetization switched on yet. So what you can do is use the link in the description of the live stream to leave a donation. Or you can use the QR code at the top right of the screen if you're watching on your TV, and just use that to send us a donation. It keeps the lights on and helps out a whole lot. All right, so Canary King is the first to respond to our announcement. Okay, he's first to respond to our announcement, and he says, "Yay, can't wait." I am anxious, Patricia. I am anxious. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Look, I've heard some freaky stuff. Today alone, I told my sister, I said, "Hey, we're planning this." And she told me a story that will make the hair on your skin stand up. She said someone in England told her this story about stuff that happened to his family. And I was like, that sounds weird. But he says, look, it happened. So maybe at some point we will bring in that story. All right. It involves underwater civilizations. That's the hint. I'm just going to leave it there. So there's stuff happening. And guys, it's a big world. It's a big world. And there's so much happening that we don't know about. Okay. So I'm excited. And Friday can't come soon enough for some of us. We're going to be preparing. We're going to be we want the show to be meaningful to you. We start out with the news. We could talk about 2 headlines and then dive headlong into the meat of the show. So that's the big announcement. And I hope you subscribe, hit the bell icon so that when we go live on Friday evening, you'll be waiting for us. Secondly, if we also go live at noon on every day at noon Eastern. So please join us every day whenever we go live as well. Okay, now there's another story that's developing from California, Patricia. California Democrats just passed a new rule giving illegals priority over American citizens when it comes to tuition assistance. Like, you hear these things, you don't want to believe that these things are true, but it's actually true. All right. So I'm going to let's watch this story, and then you let me know what you think. You're an American citizen. Okay. You're an American citizen. I am an immigrant living in Canada, but I get upset when I watch this. You know, I get secondhand rage watching this, and I'm wondering if every other American is okay with this. So let's watch this.
California Democrat politicians have now enacted a new rule that treats citizens worse than illegal immigrants and gives discounts for tuition to illegal immigrants over citizens here in the United States. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative, and I think this is completely unfair and offensive. I was contacted last week by a student wishing to enroll in a California university, and they were told that they have to pay tens of thousands of dollars more in tuition than if they were an illegal immigrant, because illegal immigrants have been given in-state tuition discounts even though they're not eligible for them, whereas citizens from other states are charged substantially higher rates. He explained his father fought for freedom. He is a veteran, and yet his son cannot get the same treatment as an illegal immigrant. He's quipped that maybe he should try to go to Mexico and then enter California illegally. Would that get him a discount? Sadly, no. That's why in the state legislature, I'm fighting to make sure that citizens are our priority, not people here illegally. And I hope you'll join me at reformcalifornia.org.
So what do you think of stories like this?
I think President Trump ought to pull the federal funding for those universities doing that.
Well, the last time he tried doing that with Harvard, there was a stink about it being a free speech, that he was infracting or infringing on their free speech simply because he said, you don't let students who hate Jews and conservatives run your campuses. And they said that that was a free speech issue. Now you have these schools favoring illegal immigrants over citizens. Here in Canada, I can't even take certain courses at a discount. It's only reserved for citizens or permanent residents. So I have to put any professional courses that I want to do in the universities here on hold until I get my permanent residency. So hearing stories like this it's insane to me that it's happening. It enrages me on behalf of the American people. I know where this leads. So it's upsetting. Now, guys, if you're watching, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Do you think it's a good thing that the state of California is putting non-citizens who are illegal immigrants over natural-born American citizens? Let me know in the chat if that's right. There's one thing to be compassionate and fair. If you want to do that, set up a scholarship. Say, okay, we're going to sponsor immigrants who came in here legally. Because when you reward people who broke into your country illegally, no matter how desperate they are, when you reward that, you get more of that kind of behavior. I don't know if it's just me. I feel like whenever I watch the news, and I think the reason why I want people to comment in the chat is sometimes I feel like I'm alone. I'm screaming at the screen and saying, what on earth is going on here? And I feel like I'm by myself, like everyone else is fine with it.
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize that in America, if you are caught and convicted of committing a crime, you're not allowed to benefit from it. And your family members are not allowed to benefit from it. Meaning that if you rob a bank and get caught, your family can't keep the money.
Oh.
And if they examine that a little bit deeper, anybody crossing that border illegally, any of their family members should not benefit from that, including babies born here. Because
but they say, no, sorry, go on.
It's a product of them coming into the country illegally.
Yeah.
That produced this whole thing.
Yeah.
So giving illegal aliens more rights than American citizens, no. They're benefiting from their criminal activity, and they should not be allowed to do that.
Yeah, we have Democrats that say, well, you have babies born here who are citizens, and President Trump is deporting American citizens. And President Trump says, no, they don't lose their citizenship, but they can go back to, they can get deported with their parents and come back later when they're older, But the Democrats lose their minds. They're like, this can't happen. This can't happen. It's very clear that the Democrats just want to buy votes. They just want to use this to get a bunch of people to feel like they're indebted to the Democrat Party, and then they eventually vote for the Democrat Party. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know. It's, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's a duck. Now, some good news. The national average gas price under Joe Biden hit a record of $5 per gallon under Joe Biden. And the Biden White House blamed everyone except themselves. Now, here's Jen Psaki under the Biden administration lying for her boss, okay, and trying to defend the fact that that gas was so expensive.
So President Biden has said with oil prices that he released a strategic petroleum reserve, and that brought down prices. Actually, on that day, the price of oil actually rose, and it went down for the Omicron variant as the fears of lockdowns. Today, oil prices are $91, more than $91 a barrel. Is there any consideration in the administration to reversing any of the policies or regulations or removing some to encourage more drilling in the U.S. for future demand?
Well, let me tell you what we are doing. Of course, we tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Sometimes that takes some time to be digested into the system. We've also worked with a number of countries around the world to do something similar. We've been engaged with OPEC nation countries about the need for the supply available to meet the demand. We've also called out the record profits made by oil companies, which should not be lost as an issue as consumers are looking at the price that they are paying at the prices they are paying. And then I would also note that you should check with oil companies on whether they are tapping into all of the land leases they have available at their disposal. I don't believe they are.
What about encouraging the investment in drilling in other places in the U.S.?
Again, I think the president's view is that it is a huge advantage to us to be a leader in the clean energy transition. And over the course of years and decades, we've become a clean energy superpower because ultimately that's not just where the jobs are, it's where the strategic advantage will lie in 10, 20, 30 years. I would note again, and you can ask the oil companies this, there is land they're not all drilling on. Every lease is not used. I'd encourage you to ask them that question.
So, according to the Biden administration, gas was $5 a gallon, and it was the oil company's fault. It wasn't the Biden administration's fault for stopping all oil exploration and drilling. It wasn't their fault for creating the disaster with Russia and Ukraine that created shortage of gas across the world because Russia essentially picked up the slack since the United States wasn't drilling and exploring for more oil. And it's everyone else's fault. Now, as of today, we have an average price of $2.94 to a gallon under President Trump. And that's not an accident. So I like to play these stories. I like to play these videos because people tend to have amnesia. I remember when gas was $5 a gallon. I saw that report and I just couldn't understand why the Biden administration was hell-bent on destroying the United States. Because that's how it felt to me.
Well, the worst part about all of that under Biden was that strategic oil reserve. That was set up to ensure that America had enough fuel to run its military in an emergency. And they drained it.
Mm.
And my whole time I was thinking, if we were attacked and went into a major war, our military would have been sitting ducks.
Yeah.
They'd have had the machines and the guns and the bullets, but they couldn't have moved any equipment. So that was very scary from my point of view about the strategic oil reserves. And then,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was the purpose of the strategic oil reserves. I thought it was mainly meant for civilian use or in the event of global shortage. I didn't know it was for military use.
yes, after World War II, they discovered that we were at odds with getting the oil reserves to be able to run our military, especially when Hitler moved into northern Africa. And the oil fields of Saudi Arabia, when they did that, was under scrutiny of being vulnerable to being taken out by a foreign source that was our enemy.
Mm.
And if Hitler had made it to Saudi Arabia, he would have took over the oil fields.
Yeah.
So then it became a question of, if we went into a world war situation, would we have the resources already here in America to support our troops, our defense? And that answer with oil at that point in time was no, because they were relying on the cheaper oil coming out of the Middle East.
Mm.
And then as OPEC gained strength, they started raising the prices of oil.
Okay.
And our productions actually stalled. It just went totally stalled. And when Trump came in, he knew this, and that's why he said, "Drill, baby, drill."
Yeah. Yeah. And they went after him for that. They, he said that he would be a dictator on day one, and he said he would do that in order to sign a bunch of executive orders to unleash the energy, the liquid gold under our feet. Like I spent hours and hours and hours every day listening to Trump's speeches, and I would go over to TDSBC or to CNN, and I would hear them do their commentary on the same speeches that I just heard, and they're like, the only thing they heard was, he says he's going to be a dictator on day one. He's planning to be a dictator. I'm like, that's not what he said, and that's not what he meant. Even like I would scream into the screen, I'm from Africa, and I know this. So it was weird. I'm just like, I tell you guys, you guys who are watching, I learn new stuff every day. I didn't know that the strategic reserves were actually meant for military use. I just found out today. All right.
That's how they were set up. But the other thing about the clean energy thing, and they keep pushing that green energy.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I can tell you what will happen if they leave oil in the ground. Can you say La Brea tar pits?
Oh.
It will come to the surface. It is already leaking out at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, or America, as we call it now. And it's just something that, and they keep trying to say, oh, it's the oil rigs out in the Gulf doing that. No, it's seeping up out of the floor of the Gulf.
Wow.
And
okay, I didn't consider that.
And then the other thing is about needing the oil brought up is you cannot have anything that contains plastic if you do not have oil.
Yes.
Because oil is cooked down, and that is what makes plastic.
Yeah.
So,
and the elastic in your clothes and certain materials. And the only reason why we have cheaper clothes today is because of oil. Because it used to be more expensive to simply grow wool and try to make clothes. So oil essentially is responsible for why we have cheaper clothes today. There's so much, like, you and I are just having this conversation, and I don't want to ignore the chat, like, where I'm learning so much. I don't know, like, guys, if you're watching and you're learning stuff too, let me know in the chat. And look, the call-in is still open. Okay, the call-in link is still open on the main channel. Those of you on the backup channel, if you're like, oh, I'd like to, chime in, okay, consider just saying, hey, could you send us the link here too? I'm interested. All right, so Canary King, let's just read the chat. Canary King says, can't wait. Okay, he's referring to our announcement. We announced that on Friday nights we're going to be discussing fringe topics. Okay, fringe, where we dive into exploring Area 51, possible alien abductions, stories like that. Unidentified flying objects, UFOs, everything within that spectrum. We're going to dive into that. All right. And we're going to look for documentation, stories, everything. We're just going to talk about them. And it's happening every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So that's the big announcement. And Canary King can't wait. Canary King says in the chat, don't be anxious. It will be a lot of fun. Well, I hope it is. If you're anticipating a great time when we begin to talk about these topics, all right, let's know in the chat. Okay, don't be shy. Let's know in the chat. We want to know if you are going to be there when we start digging into these really interesting stories. Now, this may not be considered fringe, okay, but what Patricia just mentioned about oil seeping out of the ground, the environmentalists want us to believe that if you don't drill for oil, the oil will just stay there and, be left alone. It's not going to be tampered with because it's just sitting there, and if you don't drill, it won't come up to the surface. But what I hear is that the oil that's in the ground, continues to build up pressure and eventually finds its way to the surface. But what that tells me is that it doesn't seem like oil was created over millions of years of decomposing dinosaur bones. It's as if there's an engine inside of the earth that is constantly generating oil. That's what it sounds like to me as a scientist. Okay, so if there's enough pressure being built up to the point that oil is leaking out of the ground constantly and polluting, different parts of the world. You just spoke about the Gulf of America. I think the fiction that we've been told about the origin of oil and about how oil was created by the pressurized conversion of dinosaur bones and fossils into oil is actually not true. That's what I'm gathering from thinking about that picture.
It's a trap layer of vegetation that it cooked deep within the ground and released the oil out of the vegetation. And then when you introduce the groundwater or the water table that seeps into these crevices and these pockets, and then what does oil do? It floats on water. And as more water goes in, it pushes the oil further up. But I said, if they don't take it out of the ground, it can contaminate all the water sources it comes in contact with.
Wow.
They actually make a vegetable oil from a byproduct of the oil they pump out of the ground, and they're allowed to call it a vegetable oil because that's what it's made from.
Really?
Yes. Petroleum jelly, the same thing. It's a vegetable. It's a natural source.
Oh man.
Yeah, you don't want to eat margarine.
Okay.
Some
Noted.
margarines are actually a byproduct of petroleum.
Okay.
Go back to real butter, people. It tastes better.
It does. It does. All right. Now we're over the hour mark, and we're going to be talking about. Now here's a statement that Speaker Mike Johnson made, I think, earlier today. And I think it's important to point out that he makes a very strong point, because the Democrats want us to believe that they are capable of fixing the economy. And here's what he has to say about that picture.
They broke the economy, and now they want to lecture to the American people about affordability. They opened our borders, and now they want to lecture to the American people about immigration border enforcement. They broke the American healthcare system. They caused premiums to skyrocket. And now they have the audacity to tell Republicans that the only way to save it is to throw hundreds of billions of dollars to health insurance companies, which would merely fuel a system that is rife with fraud, waste, and abuse. You cannot be an arsonist and a firefighter at the same time. That's the message for the Democrats.
All right, so Speaker Johnson being very, very, very clear. Like, I like what he said, right? you can't break the system and then suddenly show up and like, oh, we're here to fix it. I love this quote from Ronald Reagan, that the most frightening thing you will ever hear is the government knocking on your door and saying, hi, we're from the government and we're here to help. That's the most frightening thing you'll ever hear, because they never get to do anything right. So what do you think about his statement before I jump into Christine's comment? Christine, there's a call-in link. If you want to join the conversation, I'd like you to be a part of it. I like your takes. Okay, so Patricia, what do you think of Speaker Johnson's comments?
Hell, if somebody gave me a gallon of gas and some matches, I'd burn all 4-foot tall stack of Obamacare. I would be the arsonist. That is the most unconstitutional bill that Congress has ever passed because nobody read it. No, we the people's representatives did not read it. So we the people had no say-so in that bill whatsoever. None. We were left in the dark. We're still in the dark about that bill. Yeah. Nobody has still read all of the papers in it, and it's a 4-foot tall stack of papers.
Wow. They always release these bills, and I think they depend on the fact that the American people will never be able to read through everything. They believe that the American people have to trust them to let them know that the bill is good for them. But when you actually read it, you like it'll make you like it'll make you want to run into the streets, pulling out your hair. That they actually sold you out to the insurance companies.
And they did, because there's horror stories now in America about healthcare. There are people, my own son-in-law ran into it, and he works for a company that provides, part of their healthcare insurance coverage. And what happened to him was he had gotten kidney stones. And he went to the doctor and they said, well, we can't treat you for it until you go have an ultrasound done. So when he went to the hospital to get it done, they told him, well, your insurance won't cover the ultrasound and we need $500 up front. And he asked them, well, how much is it going to cost total? And they said, well, we can't tell you that right now. And they didn't have the $500 on hand to give him. And he suffered through kidney stones all by himself at home.
Wow.
Without any painkillers or anything.
Oh, boy.
That's just one story. And then there's diabetics that have been refused their medications. There's heart patients that were refused their medications.
Yeah.
My own handicapped daughter, she survives because she's on medications to control grandma's seizures. They refused to refill her prescription one year. It was a year after Obamacare went into effect.
Wow.
For no reason whatsoever, and told me when I finally got somebody to talk to me about it, that a doctor's panel had decided her medication was too dangerous for her to take.
What?
Yes. And I said, well, we've got a problem. We can either medicate her and keep her alive, or we can take her medication away and watch her die. And I ended up having to call the governor's liaison in Kentucky to get her medication back. And then the next year, they did it on her second med. And I was going, what the heck do they think they're trying to do? Kill people? And then when I went to the pharmacy to finally get her meds filled, in the meantime, she ran out of her meds. And I was taking her to the hospital emergency room to get them to give her medication. twice a day. That was like at $700 a hit, $1,400 a day to give her medicine.
Wow.
And the government was paying for that because she's on disability and gets the free coverage of health care. But, and she's 45, by the way. She's not a young child.
Yeah.
But when I went to get her meds filled, the pharmacy was telling heart patients they couldn't fill that prescription.
Heart patients.
Heart patients. People with high blood pressure weren't getting their medications. They told diabetics they could control their diabetes with a diet. And I mean, and people were kind of skeptical about there being the doctor panels. They called them death panels.
Yeah.
Well, they're there. They are there. And they review your case without looking into your medical history, without talking to your doctors, without even examining you. And I told the governor's liaison, I said, this is a case of malpractice because they didn't even talk to her neurologist.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy to hear stories like yours and many other stories that we find online. And then you have Hakeem Jeffries claiming that the reforms that President Trump and his administration are trying to bring into the healthcare system is going to kill American people, deprive elderly people of care. Like he says it, and all of this chaos is already happening within Obamacare. Not to talk about the fraud and how expensive it is. Okay, but even with all of that, it still doesn't work the way it should.
Well, what didn't really make sense is when they were saying, oh, this is going to give people health care that hasn't had access to it. That was a lie. Because anytime you go to an American's hospital emergency room, they have to treat you. They aren't allowed to turn you away and say, no, we can't treat you. Now they can tell you, unless you pay $500, we can't treat you. And this is under Obamacare. It changed the regulations. It changed the access people have got to health care. And people didn't realize it.
It's crazy.
And we still don't know what's in it. And every year that Obamacare stays in effect, it's changing things.
Yeah.
And now the senior citizens have to call somebody every December, November to December, to find out if their health care coverage through Medicare is still going to cover what it covered last year. Because they're changing it. Oh, no, that's no longer covered under your policy.
Wow.
So then you got to change your policy to cover what you need the most. So it's really a mess.
All right. Now, since we're talking about Obamacare, because we were going to transition into Obamacare eventually, but we're going to dive into the story because I have it lined up. However, let's respond to Christine's comments. Okay, she left a chat about the oil. She says it's amazing how many do not know this about crude oil in the ground and are lied to by professionals. The professionals, look, one of the reasons why I refuse to be called a doctor, because I am a doctor, is because I've met so many people who bear the title, and they like it is appalling the way they treat people, and it's appalling the incompetence that most of them exhibit. So I'm like, look, I don't want any association with credentialism. I hate credentialism. It is a mess. You have people who say that they have 5 PhDs and they can't tell you what is a woman. So you have that insanity happening already. Yeah. So next comment, we talked about the oil bit extensively. There is no transparency when it comes to Medicaid. That is Christine. Christine also says, we need to get rid of Obamacare. It should not have been passed in Congress. Yeah.
Very true.
Look, Nancy Pelosi had the gall to tell the American people, I can't tell you what's in Medicare, in Obamacare, until after it's passed.
Yeah.
I still have that video.
And they want to talk about fascism, dictatorship.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, do you know what? I'm so happy that we get to, have these call-ins and these panels. Now, anyone else who's on the main channel, the link is up there. You can request to be a part of the conversation. Look, the live stream is all about us having a conversation, you sending us a chat, we reading it out, reacting to it, or you using the link to join the call-in. The call-in link, if you're on the main channel, Christine, you're on the main channel, and if you feel like joining us to have this conversation, you're more than welcome. You can hit the link. It's right there pinned in the comments section. You can join, and then we can just talk about it. There's so much to unpack. And to be honest, I think more people should know about these stories, because if you have these people who are between the ages of 18 and 27, and many of them don't have these experiences of needing heart medication that essentially you need in order to function and to live. And all they see is Hakeem Jeffries accusing President Trump and the Republicans of trying to take away healthcare from Americans. So they don't understand the gravity of what's going on with Obamacare until they need medical care, until they need it, and then they find out that it's all a lie. So Christine says she would love to join, but she can't. She's at work. Thank you, Christine, for listening to us and watching while you're at work. Okay, thank you so much. It's fun. It's fun to hang out. No, it's totally fine, Christine. It's totally fine. Like, it's fun to have people who are just eager to stay with us and have this conversation and talk about these issues. Okay, I'm still looking at you guys on the backup channel. The backup channel is notorious for just being quiet. And whenever it's loud and noisy, sometimes it's people who just come to have some TDS diarrhea, just come to say how much they hate Trump. But when the people who actually have something good to say show up, they're really quiet. They're like, they love to sit and listen. So it's interesting to watch that dynamic. Okay, so Obamacare, under the Democrats' plan, all right, insurers determine what kind of care you get. Now, I'm going to play this video. Pardon me. I'm going to play this video, and we're just going to watch a breakdown of this insanity. I would call it insanity because it makes no sense that anyone would support this. Okay, now, Senator Bill Cassidy is trying to describe an alternative to Obamacare, and he contrasts this alternative to what Obamacare currently has in it. So let's just have a quick listen.
Here is the difference between the two accounts. Who gets the money? Under their plan, insurance companies. Under our plan, patients and families. What can the money be used for? Well, here it's subsidized premiums. There, which means that the insurance company gets it and takes 20% for deductible and copay. Under our plan, you can use it for your doctor visit, your x-rays, to see your dentist, your glasses, your prescriptions. This is real medical care, not something the insurance company permits you to have. Who makes the decision? Under their plan, the insurance company. Under our plan, power to the patient. We want that patient, we want that mama, we want that wife, because they're the ones who always make the decisions on health care, to be the one that has the power. Contributes to lower cost? Under their plan, no, because it goes to the insurance company that continues to pay those higher rates. To the patient, If you give her this money, you've got $5,000 to spend it wisely. She's going to say, wait a second, the x-ray is $150 here and $500 there. I'm going to where it is cheaper, not more expensive. And I can tell you, when that begins to happen, the people who are more expensive begin to lower their price. This is a plan that by sending it to the patient for real care, to the patients with the power, you empower the patient to shop, driving competition, lowering healthcare costs. And we just heard from Senator Crapo. Under the plan that my Democratic colleagues support, we've seen widespread fraud and unauthorized enrollment. Under our plan, if you got a health savings account, it's pretty easy. I just signed up for a similar type of account on my health care. You got to show who you are. It's not really hard. It took me about 5 minutes. But the banks that manage this money are going to require that you identify that you're a real person. This is an anti-fraud program. Here is the difference.
Hearing this, I don't think they're going to let this idea or this plan work. They're going to kill it and make sure it doesn't see the light of day.
Well, one of the things that goes along with all that is that hospitals do not tell you up front what something costs.
Mm.
And there's a reason because of that. When they put Obamacare into effect, those 18 to 27-year-olds got Obamacare. What the insurance companies did not know was that that group's insurance was subsidized by Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the government pays for Medicaid and Obamacare, when the government is the payer, they have a set standard of exactly how much they will pay. And it does not cover the cost. It does not. It's less than what it actually costs.
Yeah.
So then the hospital, this is why they don't tell you up front how much a test, an MRI or an X-ray or an ultrasound will cost you, because they have to charge you more to make up the difference that the government's not paying for the Medicaid person.
Yep.
And that is something that's been going on for eons, ever since they designed Medicaid.
Yeah, it's all corruption. It's all corruption. And sadly, like I used to believe that the American political system was, at least they managed corruption to a great degree. And the more I looked at it, the more I investigated it, the more disappointed I got, because essentially anything that's going to create transparency and save the American people money and essentially remove the power of big insurance from Medicaid is going to be struck down by the Democrats. They're going to just ignore everything that has been broken down in this presentation, and they're still going to keep screaming that President Trump wants to take away health care from the American people. Hakeem Jeffries accused President Trump of not being serious when he was asked what he thought about President Trump sending the money for that would have gone to Medicaid directly to the American people so that they could determine where they got their healthcare from. Let the American people decide how they spend their money on healthcare. And Hakeem Jeffries' response was, he's not serious. Like, no answer to that, no comeback, nothing that is reasonable that says, here's why it's not going to work. Nothing. They just don't want to be able to, stop the fraud. It's essentially them stopping the fraud and removing the funding that they get from big insurance.
Well, you wondered how they can become multimillionaires in 8 years.
True. True. Very true. I think, okay, so here's Thune Okay, I'm just going to play this. Okay, Amy Klobuchar. Yeah, she's a gem. So let's watch Amy Klobuchar say something about her thoughts on Obamacare. Of course, they are going to blame President Trump for anything that's wrong with Obamacare.
Republicans can't kick this problem down the road to January. It's not a January problem. It's not a February problem. It's a now problem. So we have once again offered a straightforward solution. Obviously, there's many more things we would do to reform our healthcare system and make it more affordable. But right now, to stem this disaster and crisis that Donald Trump has created by refusing to do anything about extending the tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, we are saying right now we can do this.
So, in their opinion, President Trump not extending the ACA is the reason why Obamacare isn't working. Something that has never worked suddenly has a reason why it never worked. It's Trump. The bald-faced hypocrisy that the Democrats have essentially decided to, reveal to everyone is stunning because, like, I don't live in the United States. I don't depend on Obamacare or Medicaid. I sit and watch the news like everyone else outside of the United States, and I watch how they try to twist their way out of answering very simple questions. Why is Obamacare failing? And they say a bunch of nothing, and they figure out a way to drag Trump into their mess.
It was never meant to succeed. Because if it had been, they wouldn't have done what they did. And people at the time that Obamacare was going through were really wanting something done about how much they were having to spend at the doctor's office, what they were having to spend at the hospitals, and how much a specialist was charging. That's what people were looking to have fixed. And it was more or less, give us a list, a menu of what you're going to charge for these things that were hidden from the public view, and it's still hidden. Nobody knows until they get their bill how much that x-ray costs.
Mm.
And then if you have a friend that's on Medicaid and they go through the same thing and you compare the two bills, all at once you find out that the person with the insurance that works paid $200 for the x-ray, and the person who was on Medicaid, they paid $50 for it. So, and then you start realizing, hey, they're charging everybody different prices.
Mm.
There's no transparency in what they're charging for things.
Yeah.
And if you ask the hospital, well, how much is the MRI? Oh, your insurance will pay up to this point. And then you'll get our bill. Then you get the bill and have a heart attack.
And then get a bill for that.
Yeah, and then you got to go back to the hospital and they give you another bill for that part.
It's insane. Like, it's crazy. So I have one more story, and I'm wondering if we should touch this. Maybe we can save it for tomorrow because it's not time bound. But Tim Walz is still crashing out over President Trump calling him a retard. It's
that poor retarded man.
He's still crashing out. He's still complaining. and it's like, it's just funny. So here he is, essentially still, he hasn't recovered from being called a retard.
My state are experiencing the pettiness of this administration. I always have to check myself because he brings out the worst in me. Thanksgiving night, I'm minding my own business, playing Yahtzee with my relatives, and I get a drive-by slur from him calling me seriously the R word.
Do you stand by that claim that Wellington was retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with them. Absolutely, sure. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walls.
If that wouldn't be bad enough, then his failed sons add in and throw that stuff at my children. And then they pile on and start demonizing the entire community of our Somali community in Minnesota.
All right, so he's trying to essentially play the victim and say that President Trump, is attacking him. Well, if you ran your state half as decently as you lie to the American people, no one will call you a retard, But he's not helping his case at all. He isn't helping his case at all, and now. Within his own state, you have Ilhan Omar. For the foreseeable future, Ilhan Omar is going to be making a cameo on the show because her story is so outrageous that it's amazing that she hasn't been arrested or deported yet. So here's Tom Homan announcing, to my profound pleasure, that they are investigating the allegations that Ilhan Omar married her brother in order to get him immigration status.
Mentioning the Daily Mail reporting from 2020 that Ilhan Omar married her brother to get into the country. This was last week. Take a listen.
Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud.
Calls that a fraud. It's a story that has never been successfully refuted, even though it's now a 5-year-old story. That's clearly a deportable offense. Is there an investigation into that?
I just got advised by a fraud investigator the other day on that. I asked the question, who reviewed the file, and says there was immigration fraud involved. The statute of limitations became an issue in the last 4 years when this was first brought up. Who was president? Who ran DOJ? So pulling the records now, pulling the files, and we're looking at, but this fraud investigator, who I know personally, one of the best fraud investigators in HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, said there's no doubt he reviewed the file. So I'm running that down this week, matter of fact, and we'll see.
It's tremendous that, and according to the Secretary, Kristi Noem of DHS, she said nearly 50% of the visas are fraudulent in this community. That would mean that half the Somali refugees are here in some way illegally. What's going to happen? Is something actually going to happen? Are there going to be people stripped of their visas, deported? Are we going to see that?
Absolutely. Those days are over. Thank God President Trump's in the White House. We're going to look at all of them. We're going to look at those here illegally, of course. We're going to look at those here under a visa or some sort of, immigration process that are criminals. We're going to look at the national security threats. But those who came through a process that weren't properly vetted, who didn't provide documentation, who slipped through the Biden's weak processes on, giving visas and temporary, whether student visas or visitors visas or whatever. We're going the whole gamut. President Trump has instructed us go down and we're going to deep dive all of this. And we're going to hold people accountable.
So Governor Tim Walz is more concerned about being called a retard for the way he's allowing corruption and immigration fraud to run rampant in his own state than the actual crimes being committed. We're seeing reports Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud. We're seeing Somali-owned businesses that have defrauded the citizens, taxpayers of, right now, the estimate is over $8 billion of fraud happening under his nose. And his problem is that President Trump says he's a retard for letting that happen. So what do you think?
Well, I still want the video proof that people are driving by his house. Audio.
I do. I want that video so bad. I want that video so bad.
Maybe we could send Cam Higbee up there to video it.
Maybe.
That he needs to go on up to Minnesota and be out there at night around the governor's mansion to see if people are actually driving by screaming retard.
What I want for Christmas right now, or one of the things I want for Christmas is that video. That it will be amazing to just have that. Open the show with that video.
I'm surprised that a bunch of memes hasn't shown up on the horizon yet over there.
Well, I think the reason why that hasn't happened is that Governor Walz isn't that important. You know, it's unfortunate, but I think that's true. He isn't that important. People wouldn't spend time making a meme that wouldn't go viral. I don't think him being called a retard went viral because everyone knows he's a retard. You know, so it's old news. It's old news that he's a retard. You know, he's made retarded statements, made retarded decisions for his state, sent out the National Guard to shoot paintballs against his own citizens during COVID, and then steps out to attack President Trump for sending the National Guard to protect ICE agents when they carry out immigration law. Like, the astonishing stupidity of how they get out there and just expose how stupid they are or how dishonest they are is just amazing.
They really need to read the Constitution.
Well, did you know what? I think they've read it and they hope we haven't read it. They just don't care. They're like, we read it, we know what it says, and we hope these jokers don't know what the Constitution says so that we can do whatever we like.
I think their IQ is involved.
True. So, so we're gonna just take we're gonna stop the stories at this point. Okay, so those of you who are watching, we're gonna take some comments from the comment section. If you still have some reactions to the story, you can put them in the chat. I'm gonna just read out some of the comments from the comment section. Okay, now this is a story from several live streams back, and Renio 492 says that Ilhan Omar deserves to be in jail. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, people would say that's a totalitarian take. No, that's law and order. If someone breaks the law, and if someone actually hates the country while they're breaking the law, it's okay for them to be prosecuted and be sent to jail or deported. You know, I agree with Renio, but you've said something before when we've had conversations in the chat where it's like the only accountability that will be had is that they may lose their position in Congress. But personally, I want to see handcuffs. That's me. I want to see handcuffs because handcuffs is a bigger deterrent for people who are in Congress.
Oh, I think we'd all like to see a bunch of them in handcuffs.
Yeah, so let's see. Gordon Phillips agrees. He simply says he agrees she should be in jail. All right, I'm going to skip this other comment. They called her a domestic terrorist. I don't agree. She hasn't done anything to qualify as a domestic terrorist. So I'm not going to show it on the screen. There's no reason for that. And we have Jose Camacho. Jose Camacho 511 says America in the main street media need to appreciate this moment and time. Gas prices at $1.69 in some places in America. That was from yesterday's live stream on Trump winning a bombshell ruling, having, well, I covered it in the live stream, but essentially people are happy that in some parts of the United States, gas is $1.69. And that's amazing. President Trump said that the solution to the cost of gas was simply drill. And then he begins to drill, and magically, a few months later, gasoline is the cheapest it's been in years. The last time it's been this cheap was in 2001 when it was $1.80. And now it's $1.69 in some parts of the country. That's crazy. All right, I think there's a delay. Patricia, you there?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So, that was the last comment that we're going to be covering, and let's wrap up the live stream. We have a few people still watching, and I'm just trying to see if we have any comments in the live chat. We don't. Okay. So if you're watching for the first time and you enjoy the flow of the show, this is a call-in feature that we just released today. Did you enjoy the call-in feature? Patricia is a longtime contributor in the chat. We talk a lot, and so she stayed on longer. The call-in feature is available to everyone. So tomorrow we're going to put out the poll again for the live stream, and we're going to ask you, do you want the call-in feature to be activated today? And if you say yes, we're going to provide the link to you, and you all can come in and make your comments on the stories that actually made an impact on you or made an impression on you, and you want to share some insight. Or if you disagree and you want to come in and say, okay, here's why I disagree. Now, the conversation has to be a good faith conversation, okay? If you're coming on to just be disagreeable for no reason, all right, you're going to be kicked off the call-in. It's really that simple. We'll just say, okay, you're not making sense, and you're creating a lot of noise and trouble. But if you're actually coming in and having a good faith conversation and we can learn from each other, fantastic. I would love to have you join the call-in feature. So we're going to be doing this every evening. We're going to make it available to you guys when you guys vote that it should be activated. And then we're going to just have these conversations, okay, on and on, to just talk about the news. Your views matter. The show is all about us running commentary on the stories, but actually discussing what we think about what's going on. Okay, so I am not an influencer. I am not. I'm just here like everyone else, trying to figure out what makes sense about everything that we see in the news. Okay, so I'm going to, let's get rid of this and then go full screen. Okay, we're going to go full screen. Okay, so Patricia, I do appreciate, you jumping on the call in and some of the insight that you've given, the insight on the oil, amazing insight. And I didn't think about that. There are other things that we discussed, and it's just amazing that whenever we're watching the news and experts on the news are trying to break down the reason why certain policies are so important, and they leave out some of the basic common sense science about things like oil and immigration and the Venezuelan fentanyl situation. All we hear are the narratives that they want us to keep an eye on, or keep our eyes on, but take our eyes off the common sense breakdown of why the policies either need to change, or whether Trump's policies, or why Trump's policies are actually the best for the United States. So I do appreciate the way we were able to have a conversation. I hope you enjoyed being on the call. I know that there was a bit of a delay at first, but I think we got it done.
I've thoroughly enjoyed being on the show. It was fun.
Oh my goodness, it was fun. Like I have enjoyed myself so much. It doesn't feel legal.
Well, the more people are informed about issues, the better judgment they can use on how it's going to affect their life.
Yeah.
Because those issues do affect your life.
Yeah. So if you're watching, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't. Hit the bell icon after you subscribe so that you're notified whenever we go live. I've left
thumbs ups.
Yes, and hit the thumbs up. The thumbs up is really important. In fact, for me, it's more important than the subscribe button because it lets more people like you who would enjoy the show to get to be recommended the show by YouTube. And if more people get recommended the show, more people tend to want to stay and then see more of the show. Hit the thumbs down button if you don't like what you see. It's good too. It lets more people, you can warn people to say, don't go there. Those people are crazy. All right. So hit the thumbs down button and it lets people like know, don't go there. It helps out a whole lot. Okay. Now we have, this is now like a full-time thing for me. Okay. I am now officially for the foreseeable future, a full-time YouTuber. I would like to ask that you consider using the super chat or the super thank feature on the monetized side. If you're on the backup channel, use the link in the description of the video to send us a donation. Or if you're watching on the screen, there's a QR code on the top right of the screen. You can use your phone to scan that and it takes you to a donation page. It's important that I explain that we need your views, we need your chat, we need your thumbs up to keep the channel, growing. But we also need financial contributions to kind of keep the lights on, literally keep the lights on. So if you can afford to, you can send us a donation to help us, just pay the bills around here. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. The experience is amazing only when you're a part of it. Okay, so thank you so much for being a part of the show. We did have quite a number of people staying on to watch the show and to listen, and we had Christine chatting. She's at work, but she joined the show and she's chatting and giving us her thoughts. Christine, if you're still watching, I appreciate you. I know I sent a message in the chat to say so, but thanks for chatting. It made the live stream an amazing one. Just you letting us know what you think was an amazing thing to see. Canary Kin, he's busy putting the kids to bed. So he jumped on earlier, but I think he's gone on to put the kids to bed. So I have an older kid who takes care of the youngest, so he's basically putting him to bed. So I get to escape that responsibility. But I want to appreciate everyone. Thank you, Patricia, for being a part. And we're going to be back, tomorrow, noon Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Then on Friday, we're going to be we're going to be having our very first show. I don't know what to call the show yet. Okay, I don't know what to call the show yet. If you have any ideas for the show, a name to call the show, you can send your suggestions to the email on the screen. Now, if you're wondering what show we're talking about, the regular shows that we have, like the one we just had, is focused on the news. We basically do news commentary, and then we discuss the headlines with you and the news that we've reviewed with you in the chat. What we're doing on Friday is we're exploring a new flavor for a specific show on Fridays. The Friday show is going to focus on things like Area 51, alien technology, Bigfoot, alien abductions, like all of these things that people talk about but don't know if it's okay to talk about them because you might be perceived to be weird. Okay, we're going to be unpacking all of those things, and we're not going to be doing it in a weird way. We're going to be having these open conversations, and we're going to have you also chime in. We could also have people call in to actually tell their own stories. If you've had an alien abduction, if you know someone who's had an encounter with paranormal beings, if you have information or you've done some research on things like alien technology being reverse engineered and how we're seeing a leap forward in things like quantum computing and everything, and possibly some information that actually could help spice up the conversations here. That's what the show is going to be about. I've expressed how anxious I am about what the show would look like. It's going to be 100% call in. Okay, so we're not going to be voting about calling in. From the get-go of the show, the call-in link will be available. If you have a story to tell, if you have something to contribute, the call-in line will be open from the very beginning of the show. You can jump on, you can tell your story, give your suggestions, we can have a debate. Like, all that is going to happen on Friday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. So send your suggestions for what we could call the show to the email address on the screen. All right, we're all excited about it. Patricia is excited. Canary King is excited. My sister, who lives in Europe, is excited. They all want to talk about it, and there's so many stories to tell. There's so many stories that you can't ignore that these things are happening. So we're not changing the channel to become all that. We're just picking out a day where we can have a show that basically focuses on that. We just want to have fun with each other, okay? It's us having fun and seeing if there's anything we can discover while we talk about these stories, okay? So also, let's know your thoughts about this idea in the comment section, in the chat, and you can send me your thoughts on the email on the screen. Patricia, do you have anything to say to anyone who's watching?
Oh, tune in Friday. It's going to get interesting.
Believe me, it's going to get interesting. Patricia said something to me the last time we spoke on the phone, and I was busy Googling. I have a screen here. I have 3 screens in front of me, and I'm Googling everything she's telling me, and I'm like, oh crap, it's true. Oh crap. Oh my goodness, that happened. That actually, what? How come I didn't know that? You know, some of us are so busy with our lives that the world literally shifts under our feet. Okay, she told me about the time that the Earth shifted 15 degrees on its axis or something.
Yes.
And it literally shifted under our feet, and we didn't know. And she found out because she was watching her TV and the sun didn't glare on the screen like it usually did. And she got curious and found out that the Earth literally shifted while we were all busy trying to pay bills.
At first, I was wondering, are we spiraling into the sun?
It's because it's scary. 15 degrees is huge.
It had shifted from setting in the southwest to totally what I always perceived as south at my house.
Yeah.
And I was going, no, the sun should not be setting there. It should be over there.
Yeah. Like, that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about on Fridays, guys.
That
like, it's exciting. Like, I'm looking forward to it. Patricia, I'm looking forward to having you kind of share a bunch of these stories and actually unpack a few of these things. Guys watching, I'm looking forward to you guys literally jumping in the chat and sending out your thoughts and joining the call in. The call in is vital. We want you guys to come in and tell your own stories. It'll be amazing. Okay. Yeah, scary, but amazing.
Look up Earth Wobble. That's what it's called. Earth Wobble.
The Earth Wobble. Jeez. I read it and I was like, that literally happened and we didn't know. Okay. Now, if you did, fine. I didn't. I didn't, and I found that out. So it's going to be great. Fridays are going to be amazing. Send us your suggestions of what we should call the show. Again, if you're joining us for the first time and you're wondering, hey, these guys look like they're fun, just subscribe already. Okay, hit the bell icon and join us tomorrow at noon Eastern and at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Then on Friday night, it's going to be amazing. All right. So thank you so much for being a part of this show. We're going to be going offline, and then we will be catching you tomorrow. So please set your reminders. We're going to have you join us tomorrow and have some fun at noon Eastern again and 9 p.m. Eastern. So see you soon, and I'll catch you on the next one. Okay. Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together.